Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now. Hi, I'm Waldo Cabrera with My Long Island TV, and I'm here with Congressman Bishop. You've represented your community since 2003, looking for another term.
I hope so, yes.
2 cycles ago, you were elected by the smallest of margins. What did you learn from that?
I had reinforced for me something that I've really always known, which is that every single thing you do in a campaign really matters. That was a very graphic reminder, to win by fewer than 600 votes out of 200,000 cast. It's also the other thing I recognized is the fact that I have had tough races, that I and my team, we've learned how to win tough races. We know how to win tough races. And we're ready this time as well.
Why should you get another term?
I think because I've done the job. I mean, I've been elected to do the best possible job of representing the people of the 1st District that I can, and I believe I've done that. I mean, I believe I've brought the federal government to the table to help local government resolve issues. I've brought money to the table to help local government deal with matters that are of importance to the constituencies that we collectively represent. I'm growing in seniority. I'm growing in influence in the Congress. I have a senior position on what's called the Water Resources and Environment Committee of the Congress, which deals with everything the Army Corps of Engineers does, which is hugely important to our district. So that's what I bring. That's what I have brought to the table over the 12 years that I've been there, and that's what I will continue to do.
At the top of any voter's list are jobs. What industries can be stimulated on the East End?
For Eastern Long Island, the environment is the economy. There's a false choice that people put out there a lot, that if you're pro-environment, that means you're anti-business. That's absolutely wrong, and it's particularly wrong if you live on Eastern Long Island. To be pro-environment on Eastern Long Island is to be pro-economy, pro-business. And I would contrast my record, which is very strong on the environment, with my opponent. He's got the worst environmental voting record of all 63 New York State senators. That's not what the East End needs. We need somebody who recognizes that the environment is a crucial part of our economic stability.
We'll talk about healthcare for a minute. The Republicans are using this as a weapon against Democrats. What's your strategy? Is it a strong defense or a strong offense? Or is there a reason to defend it as much as they think it should be?
Well, I think one of the things Republicans are learning is that the health care attacks are not as potent as they thought they were. And that's because the Affordable Care Act is actually working. More people are insured now in this country than has been the case for the last several decades. The rate at which health care expenditures is increasing has moderated tremendously. Medicare, long-term expenses for Medicare and Medicaid are now estimated by the Congressional Budget Office to be $1.2 trillion less over a 10-year period than had previously been the case. That's in part because of the payment reforms and the efficiencies built into the Affordable Care Act. And that's savings, by the way, generated without any reduction in service, without any increase in copays, no denial of procedures. It's real entitlement reform. We're early into it, but thus far it's working. We still have work to do. The other thing I would say is all of the people who talk about how you got to repeal the Affordable Care Act, my opponent is one of them. I'm dying to hear what their solution is, what their alternative is. Not once has the Republican majority in the House brought forward a piece of legislation that would say, okay, we don't like the Affordable Care Act, here's what we'll replace it with. That's a reasonable basis to have a debate, when you have one thing and you match it against something else. But when you have one thing and there's nothing presented in the alternative, that's not a reasonable basis for a debate.
This Congress lately, it seems that it's at an all-time high when it comes to internal infighting, and we're stagnating. What have you been able to do to try to break this gridlock?
Well, I'll just give you, first off, your assessment of the gridlock is absolutely right. This Congress has passed very few pieces of substantive legislation, almost none. One of the ones they have passed, something called the Water Resources Development Act, I was one of 4 people in the House to write. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And we produced a bill that got 413 votes in the House of Representatives. That's not easy. I want to rise above the partisanship. I don't think compromise is a 4-letter word, which is what a lot of my Republican colleagues think, that it's particularly the Tea Party, when they think it's an abandonment of principle. I don't. I think compromise is how you move forward in this country. I will partner with anyone that I think will help us reach the kind of public policy directives that we need to move this country forward.
Congressman Tim Bishop, representing the 1st New York Congressional District, thank you for taking time out.
Thank you for having me on.